Hey, folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another On the Water with Dustin White. Dustin, how are you?
Marvin, I am doing great. Got off the water, having a little post-work beverage, and loving life. How about you, man?
I'm getting there, so I just want to see where you are in the progression. Have you moved from, like, craft beers to liquor, or are you still on craft beer?
Oh, I'm not even in that. I have a bloody beer, which is... at the moment is a PBR with like the Zing Zang, premix bloody sauce. So that's the status of my evening right now. So can't complain.
Yeah, that's a great way to replenish electrolytes and way better than just tomato juice. I was going to say, if you said kombucha, I was just going to hang up on you.
I do have standards.
So, it's kind of funny. Last 2 weeks we talked, everyone else, had better weather, and now you're winning because you're in that kind of breezy, kind of cool off, getting even drier than usual, right? For the high prairie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you seeing on the water?
We are finally starting to see some good dry fly action. And that's kind of typical this time of year. Once we, start to get that little cool off and the tricos have kind of been out for a while. Generally speaking, every day, about that first hour and a half after that spinner fall, kind of on each system that we would guide on, we're finding trout, kind of sipping in that biomass of the spinner fall of tricos. So that's been really exciting. You have even had the other day on the mile some, a pretty modest but sustainable little pot of fish that were rising on blue wings. So that was really, that's been fun. Really haven't been too many fish taking caddis on the surface yet. Some here or there. But it has been a little breezy. So a lot of those caddis really haven't been kind of skittering around in the water, in those times where those fish are looking up. But, on the mile, they just dropped us, today, in fact. So we went from, 1600 CFS, which, they had dropped it down from the 2,500-ish down to 16 a week or so ago. Now we're down to 800. So that's kind of consolidating those fish. But it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, it means, oh man, a lot of the migratory fish that had pushed up in the system and have been holding there for much of the summer are starting to drop back into the reservoir. But it gives us a great window of a few weeks of just phenomenal fishing as those fish are starting their journey back into the reservoir. They're kind of holding in that sort of transition water. And so you can really capitalize on those fish. And so that's what we're doing a lot of right now. But we kind of have been picking them apart in the kind of full mile stretch. But now that we're at that 800 today, we're starting to see some of those fish kind of consolidate, stage up in those sections. So that's been a lot of fun. The reef is still pretty grassy, pretty mossy. It's running high right now. But I would say like the saving grace of that is that you get those pockets in that slack water where those fish are willing to eat those tricos, as I said, on the surface. So that's been good. It really is a trico caddis worm sort of fare in terms of if you're going to nymph for them. If you are going to throw dries, like I said, definitely tricos are the way to go. With the cooler days that we're getting, a little bit of cloud cover that's been coming in, that's when starting to say, hey, keep an eye peeled for some blue wings, because when that hatch comes off, that'll definitely entice those fish to come up. Likewise, I would say much is still the same for the bighorn. Tricos, caddis, worms primarily there. Haven't had a ton of dry fly action there, but it is just around the corner. So we're really kind of looking forward to when flows start dropping on the reef. That's going to open up a lot more sections for us to get lower in the system. Like what you and I had finished the last time you were out here, Marvin. That is just around the corner for us. So should be another week, 2 weeks, and that portion of the system should be fired in all cylinders. But right now, the midsection has been where if we're not on the mile, that's been where we've been spending most of our time.
Got it. And got a really good streamer question for you. Came in by email today from Paul.
Sure.
And he's got a fishing puzzle for you. So he's found some large fish holding, he says, in like a 5-foot by 7-foot pocket that's about 10 feet deep. And he said the water's pretty fast and bouldery. And he's had chases and nips, but he hasn't been able to get a hookup. And he was kind of curious if we had, kind of any leader formula suggestions for throwing large articulated streamers to help him get down in that quicker water, or if we had any other suggestions for him.
Sure. That's a great question, Paul. I love that. The first thing I'm going to ask is, what is actually your fly line itself that you're using? Are you using a sinking line? If not, do you have a, sinking leader, sink tip that you're employing? The most important thing is if it's in that fast water and they're down that deep, you need to get down to them somehow. Shortening up your leader system is definitely going to help with that. So, the first thing is, look at your fly line, look at that leader, make sure, and look at your IPS, so, how fast is it sinking? What angle are you casting towards in order to get that down to depth? And so you're kind of doing that whole formula there. Once you're at that point, I would say you can probably shorten up your leader. Your typical, if you're, the dry fly leader that's, 12 plus feet long, definitely way too much. A nymphing leader, way too much. So, shorten up that leader. You might want to build that section of fluoro to, one, that shorter butt section, that tapers down yourself. That way you can get that fly to turn over. But, with that, after you get out of that butt section, a thinner portion of that leader to help you get down to depth can help. But again, even if that's, if that's predicated that you have a full sink line and flies that can get down, think about having some weighted flies at that point. And then we kind of go into the philosophy of what the, hunting tactics are of those fish and even fly construction. So let's talk the latter first, fly construction. Again, making sure you're getting down to depth. So if you have a sinking line, sinking leader, still not quite getting down, might want to think about, having some weighted flies. The other thing is, sounds like you are getting nips and takes. They might just be shallow. And so there's two things that I would say to consider there. One is the construction of the fly. So if you are tying, those flies, where is that trailer hook located at? How near the tail? A lot of, commercially tied flies, that hook might be a little further up from the tail, and trout will often give those kind of shallow takes. Oftentimes what you're interpreting as a shallow nip at the tail, might actually be a fish trying to T-bone or injure, that bait fish and come around for it. So what that means is if you're tying your own flies, consider that hook to be back further towards the tail section. So for example, I love fishing a lot of game changers, but a lot of changers, are tied and has, a tail, the tail shank, then another shank in front of it, and then you have your hook. A lot of times when I'm tying mine, I'm tying like the hook, that trailer hook as the tail section of it to ensure if it is a shallow take from that fish, that I'm able to get that hook up. The other thing is too, if you think biologically, of how that fish is hunting, if it's trying to injure that bait fish and then come back around, you need to consider that in your retrieval. If you keep retrieving it, after that nip and it's kind of done, then that fish has circled back around to, kind of pick that up. So, play with the cadence, of your retrieval. Obviously, if you're getting the chases, then you've got, the right cadence there. But if that nip is happening and then it's kind of done, I'd consider, pausing that and then kind of, swimming the fly as if it were injured. The last thing I would consider, is that, needing to visualize what that water looks like. If it's coming off of a flat, a lot of times, at least here on the North Platte, a lot of those deeper buckets that, like you're describing, that fast water are coming off a shallow flat. And a lot of times we as anglers want to strip off the flat or strip off the shallow into the deep. When the reality is a lot of larger predatory trout want to chase bait fish up onto those shallows to eliminate how many access points that they're needing to engage in order to attack that fly. So meaning if that fish doesn't have to raise vertically and it can only attack that prey laterally, it's going to definitely prefer that too. So think about where you are casting into and retrieving from, and that might help as well. So there's a lot of different factors, but if you kind of play around with that formula there, I think you might have some success.
And just to back up for a second on the streamer leader formula, I would imagine you're probably talking about something that's maybe all in, maybe 5 feet long, right? Like maybe like, a 3. Yeah. I mean, I would think maybe 4 feet, 5 feet, probably, the butt's probably like 20-pound maxima, dropping down to maybe like 15, right?
15. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure we got that in there. And, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us or DM us on social media, whatever is easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. And we're in our drawing for a half a day of fishing with Dustin. And Dustin, like we always do, we like to give a shout out to a local eatery or watering hole. And I think we have a watering hole this time, right?
Yeah, we do. I want to shout out Frontier Brewing, located in downtown Casper, one of our many just fantastic breweries that are here in town, but just a great staple in the community. They are in the Old Fox movie theater. So that's pretty cool. I mean, to go into the brewery and, it's kind of, literally movie theater style seating. They obviously have kind of a standard tap room with the bar and tabletops, but they got a lot of cool events that occur in the theaters. And just a great place to share a drink with folks. There's constantly food trucks there. And my favorite is the location of our weekly trivia. So I believe you've joined us a time or two for that as well, Marvin, and your ventures out this way.
Yeah, I think I've played 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah, you're our ringer. Every time you come to town, you bring the pop culture knowledge with you.
Yeah, but it's
the deep dives.
Well, it's the Gen X pop culture. Don't ask me about Katy Perry songs, or we're going to be in deep trouble.
we need the full rounded experience of the breadth of knowledge. So you bring it.
Yeah, well, I tried, but the cool thing at Frontier is they've got the copier cards for the beer, right? So you can try a lot of different beers. So if you don't want to drink one big giant juicy IPA, you can try a lot of different things. I think it's really kind of a cool way to do things.
Yeah, there's you get that card and just kind of scan it, and you can pick the size glass you want. It's a cool premise, and and again, they've got a ton of really cool events. We're coming into fall football season, and so they always have the big games on weekly on the big screen. So that's always a ton of fun, and so just conveniently located downtown, and we love making it our weekly haunt, at least a weekly haunt on Wednesdays for trivia. So it's a great place, great people, and just a great environment. So we're very happy to have them here in Casper and get to go hang out there when we get off the water.
Yeah, so I would have to say, because we got a big game coming up, right? We got the Cowboys and the Browns.
We do. They are opening the season for us. Yeah, big one.
So are you going to watch the game there, or are you going to watch it at Fuzzy's?
You know what? It's a big one for me. I'm actually going down to Boulder, to the Boulder Browns backers bar to watch it there. So it's a big one. So we're making the most of it.
So they're going to be flying in pierogies and everything to DIA, right?
Yeah, they actually the Boulder Browns backers bar does a phenomenal job. So they actually get some Cleveland beers imported there, and they've got the pierogies, they've got the brats, they've got the mustards. It makes you, it's the home away from home. So for the season opener, we're definitely making the journey down there to enjoy the first game.
Yeah, you'll be singing Sweet Caroline by the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, before I let you hop, you want to let folks know how they can, book you and get out on the water with you before you head back east?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If there's still a couple of dates left for the fall. So folks are wanting the strip streamers like Paul was describing, or if you want to get in our killer dry fly action, you can give our shop, The Ugly Bug, a call. area code 307-234-6905. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can find me on Instagram at Dustin James White.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, we're heading into a long holiday weekend. I want everyone to have a happy, safe, and relaxing Labor Day. And as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Dustin.
Tight lines, Marvin. Thanks so much.